Welcome to the Urban Angle. Your city, your fish, your experience. With your host, David Kearney. Join us as we explore the opportunities, obstacles, and rewards urban fishing has to offer. And now your host, David Kearney.
So are we on now? Are we good?
Welcome to the Urban Angle. We have a great show for you this week, my fellow fishing peeps. You know, the holiday season fast approaches, and we're all thinking about that new bit of gear or that special kit that we would like to see under the tree, a new rod and reel combo or some cool new thing to add to our fishing gear. Join the conversation on Facebook. Tell us what you would like to see under the tree. Visit facebook.com/The Urban Angle. I want to welcome our next guest here on The Urban Angle. He is a founding member of the Toronto Urban Fishing Ambassadors, a multi-species angler who advocates for the pursuit of all species available to fish, and not just the more popular species like bass and walleye. He may be small in stature, but he's big at heart. Please welcome to the show, Ken Tse. Thanks for joining us, Ken.
Hi, Dave.
I have had the pleasure to go fishing with you, Ken, several times. In fact, you guided me to my first bowfin, so I know a little bit about yourself. But let's catch our listeners up on Ken Tse. Tell us a bit about yourself, growing up, and fishing.
Sure. At the moment, I'm 33, and I started fishing basically when I first came to Canada. The places I like to fish most often is probably Center Island in Toronto. It's easy for me to reach, and the fishing is pretty good. I've fished in different places in the world, and at the moment, I'm still very interested in not only fishing around the world, but in Toronto itself.
And who taught you how to fish?
Well, my dad brought me fishing once in Hong Kong, and then my dad's friend brought me fishing one more time at Lake Simcoe. From there on, I was basically all on my own. I had to find a lot of information as a kid, but different resources provided by the City of Toronto and other places really helped me out.
So you must have been pretty young when you were first getting into fishing.
Yeah, I've been fishing since about 10 years old.
Well, that's fantastic. Me and you work together with a not-for-profit called the Toronto Urban Fishing Ambassadors here in the city, Ken, in which you do some great work. Why don't you tell our listeners a little bit about TUFA, how it started, and your role within the organization?
Right. Initially, our group, Toronto Urban Fishing Ambassadors, started in response to the City of Toronto shutting down some of the access to the harborfront area for fishing. And since I fished down in the harborfront as well as other areas along the Toronto lakeshore, I was really concerned because it is very easy access for me to get down there and fish for a few hours after work, or sometimes even before work, but don't tell my boss that. And because of that, some concerned individuals like yourself and Dave Clark came on these forums and basically told us about the issue. And from there, that's how our group started. For myself, I'm really keen on teaching young people to fish because I believe that the kids are our future, especially sustaining the hobby of fishing. My role in Toronto Urban Fishing Ambassadors is really to help promote fishing to kids. And I try to be involved in those activities such as family fishing weekends, as well as any educational program to kids. But on the other hand, I'm also very keen on biodiversity and appreciating the fishing opportunities, not only for sport fish, but any species of fish that are available to basically use that resource and to encourage anglers to take upon themselves those opportunities. So another role of mine is to encourage as many people to go out and fish for different species and to open their eyes to the biodiversity in the areas.
Oh yeah, and when you speak about different species of fish, you really know what you're talking about. You're what they call a life lister, fishing around the world for as many species as you can catch. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's true. At the moment, after my recent trip to New Brunswick, catching a short-nosed sturgeon, my life list stands at 476 species. And
Wow.
I've fished in 7 different provinces at the moment, Canadian provinces, and I believe I've fished in 14 different states and a total of 11 countries, including Canada and the U.S.
Wow, that is a tremendous
So
amount of fishing that you've done all over the world. Um,
it is.
do you have a favorite fish that you've caught on your life list?
Oh, that is very tough because
I imagine so. With
honestly, I
476.
enjoy them all. Yeah, I love all 476, and each of them presents their own little challenges or major challenges for me to catch them. And some of the more memorable ones are some local species, such as the long-nosed gar, which actually took me 4 years of hunting before I caught one. And then there are some really beautiful species, such as the wrasses and the parrotfish that you catch in saltwater. Sometimes I really like those species because of how they look, how colorful they are, and how beautiful they are. And in terms of probably the longest fights, the top 3 would be a 7-foot nurse shark, 120-pound yellowfin tuna, and an 88-pound Samson fish, which is in the amberjack family. And those fights are long, and they really stick in my mind.
You just mentioned 3 very large fish, and I imagine you hunt for the very small fish as well. Do they mean just as much as the big fish?
Oh, definitely, yeah. In fact, some of the small fish are probably one of the most challenging ones. Just this summer, I went to New Jersey for the 4th time trying to catch a black banded sunfish. So this is a very, very small sunfish species that is related to some of the common sunfish species that we know, such as pumpkin seed and bluegill. But this one, the maximum size is usually about 4 inches long. In fact, the 2 that I caught on this trip were about 1.5 inch and 2 inches long. So they are very small and sometimes very challenging. And I will tell you why they are challenging. Most people think that catching these small fish should be very easy because, you know, when they think of small fish like sunfish and perch, they're not hard to catch. These small fish, for one, sometimes they hide in very heavy weedy areas, so they're very hard to spot when they're in dense weeds. And then you're trying to present a very tiny piece of bait on a very tiny hook to these fish because everything is so small and light. Any tiny bit of jiggling will often scare the fish. So just that aspect of it makes it hard. Then trying to tie on a tiny little hook. At the time, I was using a hook that was smaller than number 26. Now, for those who fly fish, they know how small a number 26 hook is. For those who don't, you can fit about probably 4 or 5 of them across the width of a penny. That's how small they are. So trying to tie this little hook on number 1 pound test and then have to put on a tiny, tiny piece of worm on that also adds to the challenge.
Well, you need a smaller hook, Ken. You need a smaller hook.
I need even smaller hook, yes, and that adds to the trouble.
We'll be right back with more from Ken Tse here on the Urban Angle.
Kitefish quality flies are hand-tied to perfection. Visit us at www.kitefish.com for our complete line of products, including flies, beads, and promotional offers at fantastic prices. Use the code RADIO1 to get free shipping and no tax on your next order. That's www.kypefish.com.
Looking for a secure, rugged, and portable solution for your outdoor storage or transportation needs? StoreStack has your solution.
StoreStack!
You dream it, they build it. StoreStack is custom shipping container modification and portable building fabrication. Think StoreStack for all your fishing, hunting, and outdoor storage and transportation needs. Visit us at storestack.com. That's STORSTAC.com.
StoreStack!
Interactive, educational, and inspirational is what Fishing Frenzy is all about. We have developed a school program based off the outdoor curriculum to cater to the learning abilities of all elementary school grades. Our school program is about teaching the next generation about ethical fishing and protecting our environment in a positive way. Visit www.fishingfrenzy.com. Follow us on Twitter and Facebook. That's Fishing Frenzy, friend with a ZY.
Welcome back to the Urban Angle with more from Ken Tse. So tell me, Ken, after traveling around after the big and the small of it all, and then coming back to your home waters, what is it you look forward to catching?
Some of my favorite species are probably ones that are not as popular with other people, and they may not be as common. My absolute favorite species at the Toronto Islands is probably the bowfin. They have really, really, really determined fight, great tenacity, but at the same time, they're really well camouflaged in the wooded area, in the weeds, and they have a lot of personality. At one time, I was fishing down there one spring, and I had this bowfin looked at me straight in the face, looking like it was going to jump out and grab me and bite me in the face. Yeah. At the end, it just looked at my worm, decided it wasn't something that it liked, looked up at me again, and just slowly backed up and swim away. It wasn't scared, and it certainly wasn't impressed at all of me. So
I know from experience these fish are tremendous. They're like, I think, pound for pound, one of the best fighting fishes in our water here in Toronto.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, definitely. And if they grow, to the size of muskies and carp, I think many, many, many more people would chase them.
And when you're fishing in foreign countries, Ken, what are some of the obstacles and barriers you face?
Right. Some of these obstacles are similar to the ones that we have here, actually. For example, access. When you go to a foreign city or foreign area, you may not know many of their laws as well as we do here. You certainly have to dig for regulations to make sure that you're fishing legally. And then knowing where those access may be, that can not only provide legal fishing opportunities, but also good fishing. And looking for that information could be challenging, especially when you're going to, for example, a country where they speak a foreign language, such as Thailand, when they speak, Thai, or if you go to Italy, for example. So I have ran into some of those issues, and it is not simple to solve. But this is where fishing in urban areas can often help people fishing in foreign areas, because urban centers often have manicured and sculpted shorelines where access is easier. There could be many docks, retention walls, jetties, things like that you can easily walk to and fish from. But if you were to go, for example, to Thailand and you want to fish in the forest, that becomes much harder. So sometimes these urban centers are actually a blessing for visitors.
Let's change gears here, Ken, and broach the subject of invasive species.
Sure.
So as you know, Toronto's waters, like most waters in southern Ontario, have an invasive species problem, one that seems to grow year by year. What's your opinion on an appropriate response to the management of said invaders?
I think people should embrace them more, especially when these invasive species can be damaging to our native habitat and the native species. There's no denying, whatsoever that they do have an impact. The impact, it could be smaller than predicted, or it could be bigger than predicted. We just don't know. But the important thing as anglers is to take advantage of what's given to us. For example, in Toronto, there are many, many common carp that could be caught from the Toronto shorelines. And not everybody utilized this opportunity. Because common carp may not be heavily targeted in some of the areas, they actually are one of the easier fish to catch. And in my mind, if we put more fishing pressure on these invasive species, we then can alleviate or lessen the fishing pressure for the native species. Because as the native species are trying to survive with these invaders coming in, taking their habitat, eating their food, perhaps eating the young, they're already having a hard enough time. So if we spend less time targeting them and allow them to recuperate in terms of population and also fishing stress, then we are doing the fishery a great deal of good.
And then tell us what advantages city dwellers have when they take up the sport of fishing.
Well, for one thing, it is easily accessible. You can, if the public transit is good, you can still get to many fishing areas with buses, streetcars, or subways.
Yep.
And it is easy to get to. You don't need to drive an extra hours outside of the city to fish. And because it is easy to get to, it is also easy for families to bring the kids along to go fishing and to promote the sport. I like to see families bring the children to Center Island where they can fish for a couple of hours and then go to the amusement park known as Centerville and have fun with the kids for the afternoon and then maybe have a picnic. That's a great family weekend to have.
Yep, Center Island, a great family destination, easily accessible.
That's right, yeah. And it costs very little. The ferry fare is very affordable to everybody. And I think that's one of the attractiveness of urban fishing is that you don't have to spend several $100s to go to a fishing lodge to fish. You just need to get down to the nearest shoreline within the city and you'll be fishing. To be honest, Toronto has some of the best fishing that I've encountered around the world, especially in Lake Ontario, because we have some very big carp readily available, and I've seen a lot of the Toronto ambassadors post pictures of 10-pound brown trout and, double-digit salmon or northern pike. Fish that we have caught here are ones that people actually travel to northern Ontario or to British Columbia or to Europe to catch.
Yeah, we travel hours out of our way to try and catch these fish when they're right here in our backyard.
When they're readily available, exactly. So I really like the idea that people can utilize the resource that is right in front of them and to just enjoy themselves with whatever time they have fishing.
I certainly enjoy my time fishing Toronto's waters, Ken. So tell me, where is your next fishing trip going to take you?
Well, just yesterday, a friend of mine sent me an email to say he's going to Florida for the Christmas break. Since I have an uncle in Florida, I may very well join him for about a week to spend some time with my family down there.
And your nickname online is Musky Bait Ken.
Yes.
Where did that come from? Why are you Musky Bait Ken?
That's a very interesting story. Tying back to, my interest in catching different species, this is a little over 15 years ago when I was still, a younger child, probably a teenager at the time, and I wanted to catch a muskie. Being somebody my size, for those who are listening on the radio and have not seen me before, I'm 5'2", maybe 100 pounds when I fall in the lake and soaking wet. So I'm a pretty small guy. And
you're a small guy with a tremendous heart, Ken.
Right, thank you. And I'm trying to catch muskie. I've been trying for a few years. And so one of my friends, his name is Mike, at the time he joked and said, "You know what, Ken? The easiest way for you to catch muskie is to jump in the water, grab a hook, and go swimming around. Because I'm sure when a big muskie see you do that, they will come biting." And from there on, the name stuck. Yeah, I've been called Musky Bait from then on.
Well, that's great. That's great, Ken. Ken, it's been a pleasure talking to you, and I look forward to fishing with you again real soon, and I look forward to working with you again real soon on some more Toronto Urban Fishing Ambassador stuff. Like I say, you're a great guy to talk to, a great guy to fish with, and I wish you all the best.
Thanks, Dave.
We'll be right back with more Urban Angle.
Castle Rock Outdoor Marketing. We're here to help put your business on the map. At Castle Rock, we specialize in marketing for outdoor companies. No company is too big or too small for Castle Rock Outdoors Marketing. Contact us at castlerockoutdoors@gmail.com. Find Castle Rock Outdoors on Facebook and on Twitter at Castle Rock Media. Castle Rock Outdoor Marketing.
Kitefish quality flies are hand-tied to perfection. Visit us at www.kitefish.com for our complete line of products, including flies, beads, and promotional offers at fantastic prices. Use the code RADIO1 to get free shipping and no tax on your next order. That's www.kypefish.com.
Welcome back to the Urban Angle.
Bluefish stewardship tips. And now here's Lawrence Gunther with another Bluefish stewardship tip.
I'm Lawrence Gunther, and this is another Bluefish Canada stewardship tip. Sometimes we'll catch a fish and it's got a tag. You know, that's a good thing. If you have the chance to take that tag number down, to take some measurements, some weights, and some length around the full length of the fish and the girth of the fish, and record when you caught it, where you caught it, you can often find out whose tag that is on the internet. And those scientists, those researchers would love to have that information back. Some of these tags are really expensive too. The radio tags, the electronic tags, get them back to the scientists. They have limited research budgets, and to have that tag back would make a big difference for them. That means more research down the road. And if you do catch a fish with a tag, maybe that's not the fish you want to harvest. Maybe that's the fish you want to return to the water. And regardless whether you keep it or not, let the scientists know what it is, where you caught it, how big it was, dates, all that sort of basic information, so that the research can continue on, so that our fish and our ability to fish is going to be secure for the future. Remember, for the latest stewardship news, listen to Bluefish Radio.
A big thank you to our guest this week, Ken Tse, for joining us here on the Urban Angle. Join us next time when we'll be speaking to Canadian fishing elite, Dave Chong. A big thank you to our sponsors, Kitefish Quality Flies. Visit them at kitefish.com. Thanks to Castle Rock Outdoors. Hook up with them today by following them on Twitter at Castle Rock Media. And thanks to StoreStack. You dream it, they build it. Visit them at storestack.com. If you would like to advertise on the Urban Angle Radio Show, then drop us a line at theurbanangleradioshow@gmail.com. Thanks to Jeff Doner, my music producer and sound engineer. Thanks to my editor and copywriter, Josie Dacris. And I wanted to give a shout out to Ron Tungle and Sandy Ferry and all my fellow Toronto urban fishing ambassadors. Looking forward to more great work in 2016. And last but not least, a huge thank you to our listeners. We want to hear about your urban angle. Send us your pics and stories, and you might be a guest here on the Urban Angle. Thanks for listening.
If you like the show you're listening to right now, you can listen to it and many more just like it on Reno Viola Outdoors Radio. Fishing, hunting, boating, and the rest of the great outdoors 24/7, 365 on Reno Viola Outdoors Radio. Download the free Reno Viola Outdoors Radio app or visit WRVOradio.com online to see the lineup and schedule. That's Reno Viola Outdoors Radio, and enjoy the great outdoors.
Yeah. This is a little track I like to call The Fight. And I don't care what type of fisherman you are, you know you can relate. www.anglermusic.com, baby. Man, I love to fight those battles. I came out for one thing, that's the fight. In a popper, causing some trauma. Disrupt surface on the top of the water. I got a hypothesis, I'll be on to a monster. If I flip this lure non-stop, fish will sense the imposter. Tricked when they hop up on this piece of wood in a costume. You can watch them right beyond the back hook, boiling like a lobster. As they follow the lure as you reel, trying to swallow. Ha, gotcha. When you feel the rod butt shaking in your palm, you bomb them with the hook set that'll rock 'em. Your rod just turns into a noodle like pasta. You're not done. Set the hook again, rolling Martin. This fish is not the fish that you thought you first hooked. Look at how it's bending your posture. I hope you wanted a battle, angler, cause you got one. The fight, that's that's what we like. The moment right after the hook set, after the bite, the strike. That's what excites the heart of the angler to keep him coming back every night. Nice, the battle incites, ignites a fight or flight response, and you're naturally hyped. The fight is the height of the life of an angler. There's nothing else on this planet that could suffice. Wait. Lifting in my basement, every day spent all winter in there training for ages, strengthening up my muscles just to lengthen the amount of time I can fish while I'm angling. Coordination is what it takes when you engage him. Gotta put the brakes on his powerful tail whipping. Ain't a gym in existence that could simulate this. The resistance that the fish delivers is amazing. I can't wait to get back in the ring again. Coach, bring me in. Got my 60-pound braided. I wanna get land-based.